Good morning, everyone. My name is Fred Combs, and I'd like to welcome you to the November meeting of the Lextran Board of Directors. Before we get into our agenda this morning, I would like to announce the passing of Mr. John Jessup. John was an operator for us here for more than 10 years. He was dearly loved and will be missed. We're joined this morning by his family. We have Karen and Stacy here, so thank you for being here. We are deeply sorry for your loss, and John will be missed for many, many years to come. So thank you and our condolences. With that, we will jump into our regular agenda. Ms. Jamie Rogers is here this morning to lead our meeting.
All right, the first thing we're going to do is roll call. So I have Mr. Dowell Harding.
Present.
Thank you. Paul Schoniger. Judge Thurston.
Present.
George Ward. Dr. Capo. Thank you. I see him saying present. Lady Borges Gonzalez. So thank you. And with that, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
A motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Judge Thurston seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. And then we move on to the chair's report. Dal, do you have anything that you want to share? Harding?
No, I'm good. We can move ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. And before you all leave, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of myself and the chair. It's an honor when you come to the place of someone's employment once they pass, and it says so much about what our career means to our lives of service. So thank you guys so much for being here today.
Take care.
Thank you all. Thank you. All right. Do either of our two that are virtual have time commitments? Otherwise, we're going to move on to the performance report and then to the action items. But if I need to move the action items up, I can. We're okay to move forward with the performance report?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the performance report.
Good morning. Today we are going to be going over the performance report for October, and we'll start with the mission statement. We serve people in our community with mobility solutions. So October was a rather busy month. We offered service for fall meet for Keeneland. There were 2 UK home games, which had football shuttle service. On October 19th, Fred and Greg Butler, our Planning and Community Development Manager, attended the Urban County Council Transportation Expo, and I believe they purported 400 people coming out and providing feedback about all types of transportation all over Fayette County, and so it was great engagement, great attendance. We were really, really happy to be a part of that event. We did kick off the feasibility study for microtransit on the 22nd. RETP Dev hosted the technology provider EcoLane for training during October, and Lextran staff were able to attend as well. On the Lextran side, our intelligent transportation systems vendor Avail was here for a final design review on the 30th and the 31st, and on the bottom left, the non-human on the screen is our costume winner, Misty Hellard. She did an amazing job. When she stood up, you could see her full face, but she made that. She did not purchase that, so she made it herself. And then something really cool that we included, the BCTC graphic design students designed the ads that are on the sides of the buses, and they came out and got their pictures taken with them. Neither of these pictures have the students in them, but they're also in some of the ads as well. So that was really fun, and just like another cool way that we are able to connect with the community, and we're able to work with some students and for them to get to see their giant work in real time.
And really quick, that's the bus that serves that area?
No, so they have multiple buses. Those were the ones that were available that day for them to take photos with. They also did internal cards. So there are side wraps, rear wraps, and then they have cards inside the buses as well. And the photos of only one of the students was in the photo inside the vehicle, and I did not have that photo of him. So moving on to ridership, we can see if you follow the green line, we're following the normal arc. We are down from the previous month just slightly. When we're looking at the ridership, as it's sort of normalizing again, we're trying to figure out what's going on with it. Is this a normal change sort of post-pandemic? Is this where we're moving to? Since the pandemic, we've seen ridership sort of grow and grow and grow and grow. We follow the typical arc you can see from the average, the previous year, on and on. You guys have seen this several times. But we're looking at ridership and trying to understand what some of the changes that we're seeing are going to indicate. And right now it is a change. It's not necessarily per se, we're not seeing a significant trend, but we're keeping an eye on it to say, what's going on? What are we looking at? Are there specific changes? And then digging down into the information to find out, is there an issue or a concern, or what do the changes mean long term? So looking at some of those numbers, we had about 332,000, almost 333,000 total rides for the month. So that is about 10,000 rides down from from September. But we saw the most significant decrease on Sunday. So when we looked at Saturday and weekdays, those were pretty typical looking back. There was not a trend identified as to why Sunday would be that different than anything else, but it did look like that Sunday service was more impacted than other days of the week. So for safety for the month, we had 7 preventable accidents and 1 workers' compensation claim, which is why you see that injury frequency rate go up. This is down from September, but still higher than we would like to see. So we're focusing on several different things. We're beefing up the safety and looking at root cause analysis. So not just sort of like, was it your fault, was it not your fault, but why are these accidents happening? What are the corrective actions? And more importantly, what are the preventative measures that can be taken from an accident? And then the other thing is we're heading into refresher season. So very soon we'll be doing refreshers for all staff. So if someone has a preventative accident, a preventable accident, they would be coached and have refresher training, but that will be for all staff. So every staff member who's out on the street will be there for their refresher training to just get the do's and don'ts and their regular, be mindful of these items to keep yourself safe. As far as maintenance is concerned, we went 10,240 miles between road calls, completed 100% or 54 preventive maintenance inspections. The miles between road calls did normalize a bit from last month. We had, if you recall, a lower than typical month, and we're seeing that normalize this month. I did want to mention we opened public comment for the proposed service improvements that we discussed with you all last month. I did not have a slide because we had public engagements yesterday. So I did not have full time to get a slide put together, but we were able to talk with several people. The really nice thing is that folks who were not able to attend have already been sending feedback. So we've been getting feedback from organizations, individuals, riders, voicemails, emails, website contact forms, contact cards at the transit center, sort of like the full gamut people are utilizing to get in touch with us. The most feedback that we've had so far has been regarding Route 4, which was expected because of the recommendation. So we've already as a team been looking at of course the community makes suggestions, sometimes excellent, sometimes not so excellent.
What's Route 4? What's the corridor?
I'm sorry, Newtown Pike.
Thank you.
Yes, so we've been looking at solutions and digging deeper into the information based on what individuals are saying and reaching back out to them to understand more about their specific commute, how their trips work, and so just digging into a little bit deeper in that information. The public comment period will remain open through Monday the 25th at 6 p.m. That's when customer service closes, so that would be the last time we could accept a card that day. So we've been compiling it already in real time. We'll get everything in there and then go through and review questions, concerns, etc. We did engage with the operators before taking everything out into the community.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
I have two. The Route 4, remind us where the stop is now.
Currently the route continues out Newtown Pike to Stanton Way. So under the highway, comes around Stanton Way where it
So
sort of
catches those businesses.
Yes, catches those businesses at the
Okay.
very end and then comes back inbound.
What is the
The
remind us
proposed
of-
route is out at Citation, so it would
Okay.
turn to service the new Kroger complex and that Amazon facility, and then cross Citation to Eastern State. So there's still access to Coldstream on the Citation side as opposed to the Newtown Pike side, but it would have significant distance between Stanton Way and the final stop there.
Okay. My other question is the refresher trainings. Is that something we do every year?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? Is it like a day training or a couple hour training or?
So it is more than a couple of hours. Over time has condensed a bit here and there. It's typically several hours and you're going over all the things that you need to go over. So if we find a trend in something, we're going to focus on, we've had X many accidents that are, let's just say, a fixed object strike. So we've hit something that isn't moving. So the team is going to focus on the principles that will help to prevent that and remind people of how to prevent those accidents. But it's going over all the basics. So ADA information, Title VI information, what are you supposed to be doing, what are you not supposed to be doing, if there are any updates. The Brad and Randolph participate, take feedback from staff as well. And so I cannot speak to some of the maintenance safety related items, but those would be covered for maintenance staff as well. But it's just sort of that getting back to the basic terms of the job, safety-wise, accessibility-wise, all of those things, just to make sure that everyone is being properly served.
Did not know we do that. That's
Yes.
excellent.
And we take advantage of the opportunity once UK semester lets out. So we have that window of
Oh,
opportunity that we can bring
nice.
everybody in. And
Okay.
Yeah.
During that time, we focused on two different sections. So, including into what Emily mentioned, we also focus on de-escalation, customer service, and then we also do refresher on wheelchair training and different things like that as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's very comprehensive, and a great time for staff to be able to collaborate
Yeah.
and give feedback to each other, and also just to, everyone's moving all the time. It's nice to be in the room together.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do you have any questions? No. Harding or Dr. Capo, do you guys have any questions? Nope, good. Okay, I have a couple.
No.
So remind me, for public comment, last time you put that very user-friendly graphic. I really liked how you guys displayed it. These are our proposed routes. These are a few of the ways that we may change them. How do we go about, how are you guys going about sharing with the public? Is there a website? And
There is a website. So there's, and I cannot think of like the tag on our website. It's on all of our social media. It is on a banner. There's a banner on the website. The changes and the comments are the top 2 posts right now
Okay.
on the blog. Customer service has a handout with the information as well as comment cards at the transit center. For our engagements, we took the information, and so one side was the changes and the other side is how to get in contact with us, including a QR code to link to the website in case that was a better option. But we've been taking them, sharing them. They've been shared with city council, community groups and members, Commerce Lex to help us reach out with businesses. I can't think of anything else. There's more because I can see Wendy.
We also been posted in all of the buses, in those
Yes, thank
flyers
you.
behind the driver's heads.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And then how long was public comment open for? Or is it going to be open for
2 full weeks.
2 full weeks? Is that our typical standard 14
Mhm.
days? Is that the typical standard for transit?
So in our Title VI plan, it's identified as the period that we use. And then we had 2 full weeks before the public meetings. So the public meetings were announced before the public comment period opened.
Okay.
We did receive 1 comment before that time, and we've included it anyway. But 2 full weeks before the meeting, and then 2 full weeks of public comment to allow. So people can still comment and give us feedback. We just don't necessarily know that we'll have time to consider it after things have been compiled.
Thank
So if
you.
someone comes in 2 weeks late, it's hard to.
And the reason I was asking is if we end up making these changes in December, it will probably be the fastest that we've ever made changes from the time that it was brought to the board last month to December, where it seems like in the 5 years I've been on it, it almost takes a year of discussions before we make any transit changes, although all this comes to a solution to delayed service. So that's why we want to move faster than what we typically
Yes.
do. So that's what I was asking. We have 33 open positions. I don't know if this is the
Like
Nikki
defer
or.
to Nikki, yeah.
And I have another question for you, so maybe I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Our on-time performance is still at 83%, so 7% below target.
Yes.
We had a long discussion on this last time, so we
Yes.
know that some of those anomalies are pulling our average down. Is that about what it was? I just can't remember last month. It was,
It's very similar. It is down just a bit, and I don't remember the exact difference, but it is down just a bit from last month. We have still been monitoring it, and our hope is that with these changes, we'll be able to have a significant impact on it.
thank you. Well, you may have answered my question, because I know you used to take a lot of these community involvement, so I was wondering kind of who took over that role when you moved into your role.
So these are sort of all over the department.
Okay.
I'm not going to go like piece by piece, but the community engagement coordinator, Julie Moon, does several. Greg Butler, the planning community development manager, does several. Tazaya does several. Our transit analyst, Sarah, does several. So I do several. So we've sort of parsed them out based on sort of like skill set and growth opportunities and that sort of thing. So we are still doing a number of engagements. This time of year, they slow down with like a community-based outdoor group a little bit more than normal. If people have indoor space, they may have some stuff, but we have also been focusing on over the past several months in supporting recruitment, and so going to job fairs and that sort of thing, which typically also slows down this time of year. So it has parsed out through the department, and we're all participating in various ways. There are other meetings that, say, Nikki attends or someone on her team, Fred may attend, that sort of thing as well.
Because it's almost one a day, with that Tuesday of corridors being very heavy. And I know at some point we had talked about, maybe, like, are we getting value out of all of the meetings that we're going, or are they not providing us value? All
And-
of these look valuable, but something
Yeah,
we can take.
as a department, we went through earlier this year and said, what is the best bang for our buck, and made some decisions. So there are unfortunately some that we're just not able to attend. But we went through and said, like, if there's a focus on hiring, where does that fall? And how far are we going outside of our sort of area of recruitment to attend something? If there's an event that's sort of like just a grab and go event where people just come swipe stuff off the table to swipe stuff off the table, but there's not positive engagement, what does that mean? All of them have value, but we had to go through and sort of, so we have like a best, a middle, and sort of a least valuable core group, and then we can go from there. And then some of it is, as you said, one of these, I think the 17th was wild for all of us, so we parse it out, and whomever is available attends.
Well, I very much appreciate that method, because I know a lot's being asked by a lot of people, so being very strategic on what meetings you're attending and is it giving return to the organization. So I appreciate the methodology there. There's an article that said it was around the park tax. Why was Lextran mentioned in that park tax?
Because we have a dedicated tax. Many groups, organizations had questions about how our tax came to be, what it does for the organization, how it works, and all of those sorts of things. So we are not the only organization with a dedicated tax. FCPS has one, the library. So all of us as a group got a lot more questions about the dedicated revenue stream with parks on the ballot.
That's every time you open the box on a tax, it opens more questions, and I know that's something we've thought about a lot as a board, since we are tax funded. The microtransit study kicked off. What's the period for that? When's it going to conclude?
April. And we will have several public engagement opportunities in various ways throughout that period, so we'll be announcing those when they become available.
like roughly, is that January? Is that like, what quarter will that happen?
I don't recall off the top of my
Yeah.
head. We do have a schedule timeline
All
though.
right, okay. And remind me, it is our engineering firm doing that?
Nelson Nygaard.
Nelson Nygaard, yes.
All right, that is all. I'll come back now to Nikki, since it'll transition into the hiring. We had 33 open positions, but that's about what I've been seeing for the last couple months, is about 30 open positions. Is that about average?
Yes, we've been recruiting operators. We've been doing the open interviews on Tuesdays, and we've just opened it up to as many operators as we possibly can. Right now, on Monday, we had a new class start. We had 8 operators and 2 mechanics. And those are the ones that do not have CDLs. The ones that do have CDLs will start on Monday the 25th, and there are 3 of those. So this will be a good class of 13. Our last class that started in October, we had about that same amount, and they're right now they're all doing really well. So we're hoping to see that number go down. We do have several positions in maintenance. We have 9 positions in maintenance. We're going to focus in the month of December on hiring maintenance, and then we'll start our next class for operators in January.
Because I know we spend a lot of time talking about operators, but we don't spend as much time talking about maintenance, which is, we want our vehicles to be well maintained. Is there something competing in the industry right now, or?
Maintenance employees have always been a lot harder to hire, especially mechanics. With this new contract and the wages, our mechanics are a little bit more, it's a little bit more competitive now, or a little more than competitive. So we're hoping to really see a push for maintenance, and we're going to focus on that. Emily and I talked yesterday about doing a push for that in the month of December.
Right. That is all. Before anyone else have anything on the performance report? If not, we'll go to the financials. Oh, yes, I forgot. That's now. Thank you.
Sorry.
Randolph, I apologize for.
All right, so on the paratransit side, the total monthly ridership for the month of October came in at 290. I'm sorry. You'll also notice that it's a slight increase from the previous month, but yet it stays in line with the trend compared to October of 23. When we looked at the data for the month of October, we noticed that usually during the month leading up into holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, we see a spike in the total ridership numbers, and we see a shift in the ridership numbers coming into the holidays. And that's due to operational change in hours like dialysis clinics, grocery shops, and different things like that, changing their hours of operation. When we looked at the productivity for the month of October, we noticed that the total ridership numbers for fiscal year 25 was slightly higher than the fiscal year 24. The weekday ridership numbers were also slightly increased from fiscal year 24. But when we looked at the Saturday and Sunday ridership numbers, they came in at 2019, which was about, I think it accounted for 14.5% of the total ridership for the month of October. It still remained slightly down compared to fiscal year 24. It's important to understand that usually during a weekday, we see a lot more subscription trips to the dialysis and different things like that. And then you find that most operators travel on Saturday and Sundays to personal use places such as churches. The total ridership miles and revenue hours, we also took a look at that because we saw a spike in the fiscal year 25 compared to fiscal year 24. 2 contributing factors to an increase in revenue miles and revenue hours would be the late cancellations on the customer behalf and also travel time. And the travel time could be connected to the ridership that we do capture, and it can also fall into the ridership that we don't capture, which is the late cancellations and trips. The trips per mile came in at 0.16, and the trips per hour is 2.06 for the month. but yet physical year 25 is slightly below physical year 24, but we're still increasing in the trips per hour as we continue to increase total trips, total riderships for the month. And the goal for the trips per hour is 2.2 trips per hour. Moving on to the safety portion, RATP Dev Wheels had 1 preventable accident and 30 days with no preventable accident, and the preventable accidents per 100,000 miles set at 0.87. For our highlights for the month of October, we captured 4,917 total unique riders, and most of that is subscription based. We captured 1,331 unique riders for the month of October, and out of that 1,331 riders, 86 were new riders.
Thank you for providing this.
Thank you. And that's all for the paratransit slides. Anybody have any
On
questions?
paratransit? Any questions on paratransit? Harding? Yes, Harding.
Yeah, so, obviously, for several months there, we were trending up. Now we're trending down in terms of our on-time performance. 69% is an unbelievably bad number. What in your conversations with our ATP Dev, which I know are frequent, are you hearing?
So one of the things that we started to look into is the training of the operators and the office staff, which we conducted the EcoLane software training. They came in, we had an opportunity to sit down with the team, understand how the system actually works. The dispatchers were trained to kind of maneuver through trips better, and then the operators were also given a refresher training. And one of the things that I did mention was that the travel time plays a major part into that. And we also seen a spike in the late cancellations. So what Lextran and RATP Devs has been doing is trying to better communicate with the customer, find out what's going on. It could be a situation where they may be hospitalized and we just may need to reach out. It may be a point where they're not familiar with the actual app. So we've been giving them information on the app, and we've also been trying to work with facilities to kind of better manage the schedule. So one prime example would be that the dialysis usually kind of shift trips around during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we may not know until the last minute, which causes a hardship for the operations. It increases the travel time, and it creates low productivity.
Thanks for that.
I have 2 things. Thank you for this presentation. I do, and we spent a lot of time out in this, and I appreciate RAPT Dev being here because we are in this together. We want to succeed together. Your success is our success, which is Lexington's success. So I do want to celebrate that there were 19 accommodations, so that is a positive that 19 people felt the need to call in and appreciate the work there. I also see, if I'm reading this correctly, there was 0 past boardings, which is an improvement over last year. Yeah?
Yes.
There's 0 this year, and there were 4 or 5 last year, right? I mean, that is an improvement. So want to spend a little bit because celebrating our success, as well as we know we all have room to grow there. We want to get this 70% up to a better percent. But I did find those as positives. And will you go back one slide? 86 new users for 84 new users.
Yeah.
86 new users. Is that about average?
Well, the new users are coming from the biokinetics trips. So when we register new customers, they go through and they receive their first ride to and from to sign up for the service and get assessment.
Say what you said. What's the first word you said?
Biokinetics. Biokinetics does the intake with the new riders.
That's our contractor who says, yes, you're eligible for
Yes.
for paratransit. And so when they say yes, you're eligible, now you can do it. and then they take their first ride, they're counted, or just once they do intake?
So once they fill out the application and turn in all of the documentation, they'll schedule, Biokinetics will schedule the rider for a intake process. They do the self-evaluation, and that ride is free. And at that time, they approve or disapprove the rider from using their services.
And the reason I'm asking is sometimes when we switch, when did we switch, a couple months ago to our,
It's been long
January.
To go to
So
February.
oh, it's been
at
six,
the end of
It's been
January.
a few months.
Either sometimes it seems like all of a sudden we get more unique risers or less, if they're harsher or easier on how they do the evaluation. So just seeing if this was sticking to about average pre this our new contract.
I would say, starting from the month of January, it has been increasing, which is a good thing. But if we compare it to 88 Ride, it is down from 88 Ride, which they were only doing phone calls. So they were doing everything telephone-based versus now they actually have to travel to the facility to do an assessment.
That's the way we can do an evaluation to make sure that they are eligible versus
Correct.
taking that for the word over the phone. Okay. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
And if Harding comes back, we will go immediately to the resolutions. And
There he is.
there he is.
I'm here. I was just texting Brett. I have a little bit of an unstable connection here, so I was taking my video off. So I don't
Okay.
think it-
Are we good to go on? I just
It
want to
seems
make
like
sure.
it's resolved itself, so we're good.
Okay. Do you want to move to resolutions, or are you, yes, move to resolutions? Okay.
So we're fine.
Oh.
Okay. Brett says move to resolutions, we'll move to resolutions.
We'll get through
You can
financials
define it quickly, right?
unless I ask too many questions.
Okay, we are looking at the month of October. Operating cash is in a good place for this time of the year. This will look a little bit different next month because this week we received our $18 million check in property taxes. So we're very, very grateful to the taxpayers of Fayette County. Accounts receivable look a little bit different too. We received $1.5 million in reimbursement for the Volkswagen funds. It's been several years now that we've been working on that for the Volkswagen settlement funds. We worked with the state on that, purchased some buses. So we did get that money in the month of October. I'll be glad to answer any other questions on the balance sheet if you have any. Okay, moving on to the statement of revenue and expenses. Like I mentioned, property taxes will show a difference next month, but we are right on track for this time of year. Passenger revenue is about $47,000 over budget. Federal and state funds, that's timing, as I usually mention. Other revenue is down because the UK contract, and it finally got signed this week, and we have been able to invoice them. So hopefully by the time that you see November financials, we will have July through October payment on there. Wages and fringe are a good point at this time. We did, as you know, approve the CBA at the last board meeting. So November may look a little bit different because we did have retro pay. So just be prepared to see a little bit of difference there for wages next month.
Retro pay means,
Retro pay, we paid them back to July 1st.
okay.
So professional services is right on track. Materials and supplies is over. Every bit of that is due to bus parts. As you know, those get increasingly more expensive as time goes on. We're doing really well on diesel. The monthly average for diesel was $2.35. The fiscal year average was $2.41. CNG dropped some. The average for the month of October was $1.02. I'm always happy to see that. Utilities is right on track. Insurance is our property and liability that came in a little more than we expected. As I feel like a broken record saying that every month, but I don't want anybody to lose sight of what happened there. Paratransit expenses are right on budget. This includes the paratransit service, includes the assessments, and it also includes fuel. Dues and subscriptions is over budget. For this time of year, this is a timing because of the APTA dues American Public Transportation Association dues. But everything else is really looking well. We're doing really good at this point of the year, so I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I surprisingly have no questions, but Dr. Capo or Harding, any budget questions? They're good?
Good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Okay, now we will move on to our resolutions.
All right, thank you. The first resolution for your consideration is Resolution 2024-32, which is to amend the contributory pension plan and increase the defined benefit from $50 per year of service to $60 per year of service. And some backstory on how this works. This benefit has not been increased since 2011. And this recommendation comes to you from our pension committee, which consists of 3 union members, 2 administrative employees, and a board member. Our pension fund right now is overfunded. There is a surplus. And we, through collective bargaining and the CBA that we signed last month, increased the employee contribution from $1.05 to $1.22 to match the employee contribution. So between the change in the employee contribution and the existing surplus, our actuary feels that this is a move that we can afford. So with that, are there any questions on the process, procedure, or this request?
I have a question just about the review. So you said the last time this was before the board, it was 2011.
2011, yes.
Is there not a schedule, I guess, for that?
Not for
Of
the
review?
benefit.
Okay.
No, every year our pension is reviewed, but the benefit has not changed since 2011.
So we're being proactive in reviewing these things.
Yes, every year we, our actuary says, this is the surplus, these are the things that you could change should you wish to move forward on them. We've not made a whole lot of changes in the past. The one change I can remember is the change on overtime, where we no longer contribute pension funds on overtime hours. Outside of that, I can't recall the change. I was on the pension committee from 2018 until this year, and I don't think we changed anything else.
Okay.
So this is really the first major adjustment to the pension plan in 10 years or more.
And will you share what that change means impact? So after you retire, what will that look like monthly?
So if you have 10 years of service, you would multiply that by the benefit. So currently, you would have $500 per month upon retirement. So it's 10 years times the $50 per year of service. Should this benefit go through, you would now have $60 per year of service. So the same 10-year retiree would get $600 per month.
And is that no matter what level you are?
Yes,
It's always that flat?
it's always that.
You have to be here 5 years, and be 65 to retire,
Okay.
or be here, 15 years and be 62.
And that's all employees, union and non-union?
Yes.
Okay, any questions before we move on? If not, I'll ask for
I'd make a motion.
a motion to approve by Judge Thurston. Do I have a second?
I
We
second.
have a second by Ms. Gonzalez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the resolution passes.
Thank you so much. The next resolution we have is 2024-33, which is a resolution to rescind and replace a resolution passed last month, which was for a camera system upgrade for buses. The difference between this resolution and the previous resolution is this one correctly identifies a warranty support for the entire term of the contract that includes the option years, should we choose to exercise those option years. And Deanna, did I say all that correctly? Okay, good. I think everything else is in line with what we passed last month. So the total award, should we exercise all years with warranty and support, would be $830,000. And the source of those funds, again, is from our capital 5307 funds and a state match. So there's no local money involved in this procurement. Any questions on this resolution?
We have a motion by Ms. Gonzalez. Do we have a second?
I can second.
We have a second by Harding. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The resolution passes.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we go to the change report.
We have no change order report, nothing for old business, nothing for new business. We do have a proposed agenda item, and that is more on our conversations with RATP Dev. I would like to introduce the board to Mr. Robert Smith. He is the Vice President of Client Relations from RTPDev. He's there with Byron, who's with us this morning as well. There has been a shakeup on the corporate side that manages our contract. Ms. Jacqueline Spence is now the Vice President over our contract, and Steve Shearer is the Director of Operations. We met with those two, along with Matt Buterbaugh, the CEO, who was in town last week to meet with Randolph and I. We had a good discussion on paratransit service and sort of the future of the contract. So, as we know, we're working on an action plan that came out of our training and review. We're going to take that a step further and add a little bit more detail to that. Sir, was that a question? Okay. So we're going to take our action plan a step further. RTPDev and Lextran have agreed on sort of 4 pillars, including on-time performance, a system optimization, capacity management, which gets into vehicles, and community engagement. So things that we've already been working on to reinforce those moving forward. And we plan to have a much more detailed description and discussion on what that means next month.
Thank you, I look forward to that discussion.
Sure.
I don't go between board meetings without somebody asking me about paratransit,
Yes.
so it continues to be a priority for this board.
A couple other things that we have maybe on the horizon would be our transit center and interior innovation is out for bid at the moment. So we're hoping for good luck on that one. Free rides on Thanksgiving is coming up. And yeah, we already talked about the microtransit study. I have that on the agenda here to mention as well. So I think that's what I have.
When did the bids close for the transit center?
January 29th. January 29th.
January 29th.
So we'll probably not know by our December meeting, she'll be evaluating.
This is
Yep.
probably a February resolution.
Okay. Any need for closed session?
Fred, is this the second or the third time we've did that?
This will be the third.
And that's because of non-responses, or?
Yeah, we had no bids the first 2 times.
Because the construction market is so competitive, or what's the main?
We've heard that, as well as difficulty in operating, so keeping our operations moving while the construction's going on. So we've made some changes to that, and we're looking at different ways that we can keep operations in motion while giving the contractors more space to do the work. So hopefully with these changes, we will get better responses.
Any other questions, Harding, on that?
That's good, thank you.
No. We'll all hope for success there, and that in February that we are moving forward. Any need for a closed session?
No,
With that, I don't need a motion to adjourn, right? I can,
I think we could just adjourn.
do I have a, yeah.
We can do.
I'll make, sure.
Okay.
We did it just in case.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, Dr. Kaplan and Hardy. Thank you both.
Thank you, Jamie.